What if you had all the money in the world, but couldn't save the one person you love most? This is a story of a father who learned that terrible truth, and a boy with empty pockets who proved that miracles don't need money, they need heart. The phone call came at midnight. Mr. Richard Thompson was in his office, surrounded by screens showing his companies making millions every second. He owned hotels, buildings, cars, and even islands. People called him the richest man in the city. When he walked into a room, everyone stood up. When he spoke, everyone listened. But that night, none of it mattered. "Sir, come home quickly," his assistant screamed through the phone. "It's Marcus. He collapsed." Richard's heart stopped. Marcus, his only son, his everything. He ran faster than he'd ever run in his life. His fancy black car raced through the streets, breaking every red light. When he reached his mansion, a house so big it looked like a castle, doctors were already there. Expensive doctors, the best in the world. Richard had flown them in on private jets within minutes. But their faces told him something horrible. Inside Marcus's bedroom, machines beeped loudly, wires connected to his son's small body. Marcus lay still on the bed, his skin pale like paper, his lips turning blue. He was only 12 years old. What's wrong with him? Richard grabbed the head doctor by his coat. "Fix him. I don't care what it costs." The doctors looked at each other nervously. Finally, one of them spoke, his voice shaking. "Mr. Thompson, your son has a very rare sickness. We've never seen anything like it. His body is shutting down." "Then do something." Richard shouted. "Give him medicine. Do surgery. I'll pay anything." The doctor swallowed hard. "Sir, there's no cure. Not yet. We've run every test. Called specialists from 5 countries. But—" He paused, unable to say the words. "But what?" Richard's voice cracked. "Your son has only 3 days to live." The room went silent except for the beeping machines. Richard felt his legs give out. He fell to his knees beside Marcus's bed, grabbing his son's cold hand. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no. This can't be happening." For the first time in his powerful life, Richard Thompson felt completely helpless. He owned half a city. He could buy anything, but he couldn't buy more time for his son. Marcus's eyes opened slowly. They were tired. So tired. "Dad," he whispered weakly, "am I dying?" Richard couldn't speak. Tears fell down his face, tears he'd never cried before, not even when he'd lost his own parents. "I don't want to die, Dad," Marcus said, his voice barely there. "I'm scared." "You won't," Richard lied, holding his son's hand tighter. "I won't let you. I promise." But promises mean nothing when death is coming. That night, the mansion that was usually filled with music and laughter became silent as a grave. Servants walked around crying. Richard's assistants canceled all his meetings. News reporters gathered outside the toll gates, their cameras flashing, broadcasting the tragedy to the whole world. "Billionaire's son given 3 days to live," the headline said. Inside, Richard sat frozen beside Marcus's bed, watching his son breathe. Each breath seemed harder than the last. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, counting down the hours. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Every second felt like torture. Richard looked around at all his expensive things. The golden paintings, the crystal lights hanging from the ceiling, the rare furniture from countries far away. What good was any of it now? He would burn it all, every last piece, if it could save Marcus. But money couldn't save his son. For the first time, Richard understood something. Wealth is useless against death. Far away from the mansion, in a completely different world, someone else was about to hear Marcus's story. His name was Leo. Leo didn't live in a mansion. He didn't even live in a house. He slept under a bridge, wrapped in an old blanket he'd found in the trash. He was 11 years old, skinny as a stick, with messy brown hair and clothes full of holes. Leo had no parents, no family, no home. Every morning, he woke up hungry. He earned money by selling flowers at traffic lights, carrying bags for strangers, or cleaning car windows. On good days, he made enough to buy one meal. On bad days, he went to sleep with his stomach growling. But here's the strange thing about Leo. he never stopped smiling. Even when bigger kids stole his money, he smiled. Even when people yelled at him to get out of their way, he smiled. Even when rain poured down and he had nowhere to go, he smiled. Because Leo had a secret. He believed in magic, not the kind with wands and spells. The kind where good things happen to good people, where kindness matters more than money, where impossible things become possible if you believe hard enough. Other street kids laughed at him. "You're stupid, Leo," they'd say. "There's no such thing as magic. Life is just hard." But Leo didn't listen. He spent his free time reading torn books he found in garbage cans. Books about heroes, about miracles, about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. One evening, Leo sat at a small tea shop on the corner of a busy street. The owner, an old woman with kind eyes, sometimes gave him free tea in a cracked cup. "Here you go, child," she said, placing the warm cup in his dirty hands. "Thank you, Grandma Rosa," Leo smiled. That's what he called her. She liked it. As Leo sipped his tea, two men sat at the table next to him, talking loudly. "Did you hear about the billionaire's son?" one man said. "Oh, yes, tragic," the other replied. "The boy's dying. Only has 3 days left. Even with all that money, his father can't save him." Leo's cup froze halfway to his lips. "Dying? A boy? 3 days? How old is he?" Leo asked suddenly. The men looked at him, surprised a street kid was talking to them. 12, I think," one man said. "Why do you care?" Leo didn't answer. His mind was spinning. Somewhere in a huge mansion, a boy his own age was lying in bed, waiting to die. A boy who probably had everything: toys, games, food, a warm bed. But none of it could save him. Leo felt something strange in his chest. A pull, like an invisible string connecting him to this boy he'd never met. "If only I could help," Leo whispered to himself. Grandma Rosa heard him. She put her wrinkled hand on his shoulder. "Child, you have the biggest heart I've ever seen. But some things are beyond us." Leo looked up at her with serious eyes. "Grandma Rosa, do you believe in miracles?" She smiled sadly. "I used to, when I was young like you." "Well, I still do," Leo said firmly. He stood up, leaving his half-finished tea. "And I think that boy needs one." "Where are you going?" Grandma Rosa called after him. But Leo was already running down the street, his bare feet slapping against the wet pavement. He didn't know how. He didn't know why. But something inside him, something powerful and sure, told him he had to find Marcus Thompson. That somehow a poor street kid with nothing could save a rich boy who had everything. The impossible was about to become possible, and Leo was ready to fight for it. The next morning, Leo stood outside the biggest hospital in the city. It was tall and white, with huge glass windows that reflected the sun like diamonds. Rich people went there when they were sick. People like Marcus Thompson. Security guards in black suits stood at every entrance. Their faces were serious. Their arms were crossed. They looked like soldiers protecting a castle. Leo took a deep breath. He knew they would never let a dirty street kid inside. But Leo was clever. He'd spent his whole life being invisible, sneaking into places he wasn't supposed to be. He watched and waited. When a delivery truck arrived with food, Leo slipped behind it. When the guards turned to check the truck's papers, Leo ducked low and ran through the doors. Inside, the hospital was like another world. Everything was clean and white. The floors were so shiny Leo could see his reflection. Nurses walked quickly in their crisp uniforms. The smell of medicine filled the air. Leo felt out of place with his torn clothes and bare feet, but he kept walking. He asked the cleaning lady, "Excuse me, where's Marcus Thompson's room?" The lady looked at him suspiciously. "Top floor. But you can't just." Leo was already running to the stairs. He couldn't use the elevator. Too many people would see him. He climbed 5 flights of stairs, his legs burning, until he reached the top floor. And there it was, room 507. 2 more guards stood outside the door. Leo's heart pounded. How would he get past them? Then he noticed a food cart in the hallway. Without thinking, he grabbed a white coat hanging nearby and put it on. It was huge on him, hanging past his knees. He pushed the food cart toward Marcus's room, keeping his head down. Breakfast delivery, Leo mumbled. The guards barely looked at him. They opened the door. Leo was in. The room was enormous. Machines surrounded a huge bed in the center. And there, looking tiny in the middle of all those white sheets, was Marcus. He looked even worse than Leo had imagined. His skin was gray. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. Tubes ran from his arms to bags of clear liquid. The machine beside him beeped steadily, counting his heartbeats. Leo stood frozen in the doorway. Marcus's eyes opened slowly. They were green, like leaves in spring, but so tired. He looked at Leo, confused. Who are you? Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Leo swallowed hard. I'm Leo. I came to help you. Marcus tried to laugh, but it came out as a weak cough. Help me? The best doctors in the world can't help me. How can you? Leo walked closer. Up close, he could see Marcus was just like him, just a kid who was scared. I don't know yet, Leo admitted, but I couldn't just do nothing. For a moment, they stared at each other, two boys from completely different worlds, but both feeling the same thing. Fear. What's it like? Marcus asked suddenly. Living on the streets. Leo blinked. What? I can tell from your clothes, Marcus said. You don't have a home, do you? Leo shook his head. No, but it's not all bad. I get to see the sunrise every morning. I have freedom, and I meet interesting people. I've never seen a real sunrise, Marcus said sadly. I've always been too busy with tutors and lessons and business meetings Dad makes me sit in. I have everything, but I've never really lived. And I have nothing, Leo said softly, but I live every day like it's an adventure. They both smiled at the irony. Then Marcus's smile faded. I'm going to die, Leo, in 3 days, maybe less. No, Leo said firmly. You're not. How do you know? Because I won't let you. Leo grabbed Marcus's hand. It was cold and weak, but Leo held it tight. I promise you, Marcus, I'm going to find a way to save you. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. That's impossible. I believe in impossible things, Leo said with that bright smile of his. And starting today, you're going to believe too. For the first time in days, Marcus felt something he thought he'd lost. Hope. But then the door burst open. Richard Thompson stormed in, followed by 2 guards. Who are you? Richard demanded, staring at this strange boy in an oversized coat. How did you get in here? Leo stood up straight, even though his knees were shaking. My name is Leo, sir. I came to help your son. Help him. Richard's voice was sharp. Are you a doctor? No, sir. A scientist? A specialist? No, sir. I'm just me. Richard's face turned red with anger. Guards, remove this child immediately. Wait! Marcus cried out from bed. Dad, please, here's my friend. Friend? Richard looked shocked. You just met him. I know, Marcus said, his voice getting stronger. But is the first person who didn't look at me like I'm already dead. Please, let him stay. Richard looked at his son, then at Leo. Finally, he sighed. Fine, but don't give my son false hope. Hope can hurt worse than truth. Leo met Richard's eyes. What if hope is a truth? So... Richard didn't answer. He just turned and left the room. That night, Leo snuck out of the hospital. He couldn't stay. The guards were watching too closely. But he'd made a promise, and Leo always kept his promises. He walked through the dark streets, thinking hard. Where could he find a cure that doctors couldn't? How could he save Marcus? Then he remembered something. A story Grandma Rosa had told him once about old healers who lived far from the city. Healers who used plants and herbs instead of pills and machines. Healers who knew secrets that modern doctors had forgotten. That's it. Leo whispered to himself. The next morning, before the sun came up, Leo left the city. He had no money for a bus or train, so he walked. He walked along dusty roads, through small villages, asking everyone he met. Do you know any healers? He would ask. Most people shook their heads. Some laughed. Healers? That's old superstition. Boy, go to a hospital. But Leo kept asking, kept walking. His feet hurt. His stomach was empty. But he couldn't stop. After 2 days of walking, he reached a tiny village at the edge of a dark forest. The people there were different. They wore simple clothes and lived in small houses. An old man sitting outside a tea shop noticed Leo. "You look lost." "Child," the old man said. "I'm looking for a healer," Leo said breathlessly. "Someone who knows about rare sicknesses. Someone who can do what doctors can't." The old man's eyes grew serious. "There's one, deep in the forest. They call him the Keeper. But the journey is dangerous, and he doesn't help just anyone." "Please," Leo begged. "My friend is dying. I have 1 day left to save him." The old man studied Leo's face. He saw something there, something pure and true. "Follow the river into the forest. Walk until you hear the waterfall. The Keeper's house is there. But be warned, he will test your heart." Leo didn't waste a second. He ran toward the forest. The trees were so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. Strange sounds echoed around him. Birds, insects, animals he couldn't name. The river beside him rushed loudly, guiding him deeper and deeper. His legs screamed with pain. Branches scratched his arms and face. He tripped over roots and fell into mud. But every time he fell, he got back up. "For Marcus," he whispered to himself. "For Marcus." Finally, after hours of walking, he heard it, the sound of a waterfall crashing down rocks. And there, hidden behind the falling water, was a tiny house made of wood and stone. Leo climbed over slippery rocks and knocked on the door. It opened slowly. An old man stood there, but he wasn't like any old man Leo had ever seen. His eyes were sharp and bright, like he could see right into Leo's soul. His long white beard touched his chest. Strange plant hung from the ceiling behind him, and the air smelled like earth and flowers. "Why have you come, boy?" the Keeper asked. His voice was deep and powerful. Leo fell to his knees, exhausted. "Please, sir, my friend is dying. He has 1 day left. The doctors gave up. But I can't. I won't. Please, if you know anything, any cure, please help me." The Keeper stared at him for a long, long time. Then he asked, "This friend of yours, is he rich?" "Very," Leo said honestly. "And you are poor." "Very," Leo said again. "So why do you care? What will you gain by saving him?" Leo looked up, confused. "Gain? Nothing. I can't watch him die when maybe, just maybe, I can do something." The Keeper's face softened. He disappeared into his house and returned holding a small leather pouch. Inside were dried leaves that glowed faintly, like they held tiny pieces of moonlight. "This plant is called silver breath," the Keeper said. "It blooms once every 10 years in the deepest part of this forest. It can cure almost anything. But—" he paused. "It only works if given with a pure heart. If your intentions are selfish, it becomes poison." Leo took the pouch carefully. "My heart is pure. I promise." "Then go, boy. Run. Your friend has very little time left." Leo didn't say thank you. There was no time. He turned and ran back through the forest, faster than he'd ever run before. The sun was setting. Marcus had 1 day left. Maybe less. Leo's body screamed for rest, but his heart pushed him forward. He ran through the night, through the forest, past the villages, back toward the city. The lights of the city appeared in the distance just as the sun began to rise. Leo ran harder. He was coming. Marcus. He was coming. Leo's feet were bleeding. His lungs burned. But he could see the hospital now, just 3 blocks away. He pushed through the morning crowd, ignoring the stares at his muddy clothes and scratched face. People jumped out of his way as he sprinted past them. "Move! Please move!" he shouted. When he reached the hospital, the guards recognized him. "Hey, you're not allowed." But Leo was too fast. He ducked under their arms and ran straight for the stairs. Behind him, he heard shouting and heavy footsteps chasing him. He burst through the door of room 507, and his heart almost stopped. Marcus wasn't moving. Doctors surrounded his bed, working frantically. Machines beat wildly. Richard stood in the corner, his face buried in his hands, sobbing. No, no, no. Leo screamed. I'm here. I found it. Everyone turned to stare at him. A doctor tried to grab him. Security! Get this child out of here. Wait! Leo held up the leather pouch. Please, this can save him. That's enough, Richard said, his voice broken. Don't torture me with false hope. My son is not dead yet. Leo shouted with everything he had. Please, Mr. Thompson, please, just let me try. What do you have to lose? Richard looked at Marcus's still body, then at Leo's desperate face, then at the pouch glowing faintly in the morning light. Everyone out, Richard said quietly. Sir, this is highly irregular, a doctor protested. I said out. Richard roared. All of you. Now. The doctors exchanged worried glances but left the room. Only Richard, Leo, and Marcus remained. Leo rushed to Marcus's bedside. His friend's lips were blue. His chest barely moved. With shaking hands, Leo opened the pouch. The silver breath leaves smelled like rain and honey. He crushed them in a cup of water and stayed. Marcus, Leo whispered, tears streaming down his face. Remember our promise? You have to fight. Please fight. He carefully lifted Marcus's head and poured the glowing liquid between his lips. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3. Nothing happened. The room was silent except for the terrible beeping of the machines. Leo held Marcus's hand. Come on, friend, come back. The sunrise is waiting for you. Real sunrises. Beautiful ones. I'll show you everything. Just come back. Still nothing. Richard collapsed into a chair, covering his face. Then Marcus coughed. It was tiny, weak, but it was there. Leo's eyes went wide. Marcus. Marcus coughed again, stronger this time. His chest moved up and down. Color slowly returned to his cheeks, starting from his nose and spreading outward like spilled paint. It's working, Leo breathed. It's working. Richard jumped up. Marcus? Son? Can you hear me? Marcus's eyelids fluttered. Slowly, so slowly, they opened. Those green eyes looked around, confused but alive. Dad. Marcus's voice was scratchy but real. Leo? What happened? Leo started laughing and crying at the same time. He hugged Marcus tightly. You're okay. You're really okay. Richard fell to his knees beside the bed, grabbing his son's hand. The doctors said, they said you were, but you're here. You're alive. The doctors rushed back in, shocked. They checked Marcus's vitals, ran tests, examined him from every angle. Their faces showed complete disbelief. This is impossible, one doctor whispered. His pulse is normal. His breathing is clear. There's no trace of the illness. It's gone. Richard asked, afraid to hope. I don't understand it. But yes, it appears to be completely gone. The room erupted in joy. Nurses hugged each other. Richard held Marcus and sobbed with relief. And Leo sat on the floor, exhausted but smiling his biggest smile. The miracle had happened. For the next 2 days, Marcus grew stronger. He could sit up, then walk, then laugh. News spread across the world. Billionaire's son makes impossible recovery. Miracle cure saves dying child. But inside the mansion where Marcus was now resting, trouble was brewing. Late one night, while everyone slept, 3 men in expensive suits gathered in a dark office building across the city. The boy survived, one man said angrily. He was Victor Kane, Richard's biggest business rival. If Marcus lives, Richard's empire stays strong. Our plan to take over his companies is ruined. What about that street kid? Another man asked. He's the one who brought the cure. Victor's eyes narrowed. Then we make the street kid disappear. If Marcus gets sick again and the cure is gone, nature will take its course. They didn't know that one of Richard's servants had overheard them. The servant ran straight to the mansion to warn them. The next morning, Richard called Leo into his study. Marcus was there too, looking healthier every day. Leo, Richard said seriously, I've learned that some very dangerous people want to hurt you. They see you as a threat to their plans. Leo's eyes widened. Hurt me? But I just wanted to help. I know, son. Richard put his hand on Leo's shoulder. That's why I want you to stay here. In this mansion. You will be safe, protected, and... He paused, his voice getting emotional. You will be family. My family. Leo looked at Marcus, who was grinning. Please stay. Leo, you're my best friend. My brother. But before Leo could answer, the lights went out. Glass shattered somewhere downstairs. Men shouted. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. They are here. Richard yelled. Guards! The door burst open. 5 men in black masks rushed in. But Richard's security team was ready. They fought hard, pushing the attackers back. In the chaos, one masked man grabbed Leo. You're coming with us, street rat. No! Marcus screamed. But then something amazing happened. All the servants, the cooks, the gardeners, the maids, they all rushing with brooms and pans and whatever they could find. Grandma Rosa from the tea shop was there too. She'd heard about the danger and brought half the neighborhood. You don't hurt our Leo, she shouted, swinging her walking stick. The attackers were overwhelmed. Within minutes, they were tied up and police sirens wailed outside. As officers took the criminals away, Victor Kane was among them, his face twisted with anger. You can't win, Thompson. Victor shouted. Money always wins. Richard looked at Leo, then at all the ordinary people who had come to protect him. He smiled. You're wrong, Victor. Love wins. Every single time. 1 week later, Marcus stood on the mansion's balcony, watching his first real sunrise with Leo beside him. The sky toned from dark purple to pink to orange to gold. Birds sang. The world felt brand new. It's beautiful, Marcus whispered. Told you. Leo grinned. Behind them, Richard watched his son, alive, laughing, learning what really mattered in life. He'd already made changes. Half his fortune would go to building schools and hospitals for poor children. He'd hired Grandma Rosa to run a community center. And Leo? Leo was officially his son now. Adopted. Loved. Home. You know what the craziest part is? Marcus said to Leo, You had nothing. I had everything. But you saved me. Leo shrugged. That's because the best things in life don't cost money. Courage doesn't cost money. Kindness doesn't cost money. Hope doesn't cost money. And love. He looked at Richard and Marcus. Love is completely free. Richard came and put his arms around both boys. I spent my whole life thinking money was power. But you taught me something. Leo, real power isn't here. He touched his heart. And that's a treasure everyone can have, rich or poor. Marcus smiled. So what do we do now? Leo's eyes sparkled with that old mischief. Now, we go help other people. Share what we learned. Show the world that miracles are real when people care about each other. And that's exactly what they did. The end. The lesson? Money can buy many things, but it cannot buy the things that truly matter. Love, loyalty, friendship, and life itself. Real miracles don't come from wealth. They come from pure hearts and courage to do impossible things. You don't need to be rich to change someone's life. You don't need to be powerful to be a hero. You just need to care. You just need to try. Because in the end, the greatest treasure in this world isn't gold or diamonds or mansions. It's compassion. It's kindness. It's love. And those gifts, they're inside you right now, waiting to change the world. If the story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to remember that miracles still happen. Drop a comment below telling us, what impossible thing will you do today? Remember, you don't need money to be someone's hero. You just need heart. Let's spread this message together. Hit that like button and share the story. The world needs more Leos. Will you be one?